I welcome you all to this session on information systems in business today. Today we'll be discussing two aspects of information systems: how information systems support decision making, and the control and security that is inbuilt into information systems to make them secure. We'll first start with this topic of how we can enhance our decision-making capability as managers using information systems. We'll first try to learn the following objectives. We'll try to see what are the different types of decisions and how does the decision-making process work. How do information systems support the activities of managers and management decision-making? This is the first objective that we will try to understand. The second one is how do business intelligence and business analytics support decision making. The third objective of today's first session is how do different decision making constituencies in an organization use business intelligence. What is the role of information systems in helping people working in a group make decisions more efficient? We'll try to explain the importance of decision making for managers at each of the three primary organizational levels, that is the operational level, tactical, and the strategic level, along with the associated decision characteristics. We'll define what are critical success factors and the key performance indicators and explain how managers use them to measure the success of MIS projects. We'll try to classify the different operational, managerial, and strategic support system and explain how managers can use them to make decisions and gain competitive advantage. We'll try to describe also artificial intelligence and identify its main types. Making organizational business decisions. Whenever you are in an organization and you are involved in business decision making, you'll be faced with many challenges. The challenges of analyzing large amounts of information, how to apply sophisticated analysis techniques to the data that we have with us, and how to make decisions quickly. If you take a look at the business value of improved decision making, improving hundreds of thousands of small decisions will add up to large annual value for the business. That's why decision making is an important topic of discussion in MS. All of you should know that decision making is not a single step that you follow. It's a series of steps that has to be executed very nicely in order to arrive at a good decision. So, decision making is considered to be a process. It's not a single entity, rather it's a process. It's a series of steps that will take in one or more kinds of input to produce an output of value at each of the levels or the phases of the decision making process to generate a good solution for you. So whenever you are faced with a problem, in order to move towards a solution, you have to go through a number of steps, which will be called as the problem-solving steps. First is a decision has to be made. When it is implemented, you have the problem solved. Basically, in the organization's hierarchy, managers working in the three levels of the management's hierarchy or the organizational hierarchy, managers at the operation level, they are involved in a particular type of decision called as structured decisions. These are basically repetitive and routine tasks. And there is a well laid down procedure to follow. So the decision making at this particular level involves definite procedure for handling data. So they do not have to be treated each time as new. Then the second level is the semi-structured decision making done by tactical managers. Only part of the problem has a clear-cut answer provided by accepted procedure. So semi-structured decisions are partly programmable, partly non-programmable. And at the top level, managers, they are involved in unstructured decision making. Decision makers must provide judgment, evaluation, and insight to solve problems. So unstructured decision making is carried out by senior managers. For example, should the organization enter into a new market or not? An answer to this question can be provided by the information systems used by the top managers. The middle level managers make more structured decisions, but these may include unstructured components also. Like the problem of resource allocation can be semi-structured in nature. An answer to this kind of question, why is order fulfillment report showing a decline? An answer to this kind of a question can be provided by mid-level information systems. And the operational managers, the supervisory managers, they make more structured decisions. For example, they would like to use an information system which can answer this kind of a question. Does customer meet criteria for credit or not? Should I get a ticket at the railway reservation counter or not? Such questions can be answered by the information system through structured decision making by managers. This particular slide shows how managers make various kinds of decisions. Managers at the operational level, they make structured decisions. This kind of decision making is done for few situations, like if we are trying to determine overtime eligibility for a particular employee, we are making structured decision. We would like to restock our inventory, then also we are involved in structured decision making. Operational managers, if they are thinking of offering credit to customers, then also they are involved in a step-by-step procedure to decide whether to offer the credit or not. Managers at the operational level also determine special offers to be offered to customers. So senior managers, they are involved in unstructured decision making. Operational managers, they are involved in structured decision making. But the mid-level managers are involved in semi-structured decision making. That means they are the tactical managers. They are involved in tactical planning and control. So if they are designing a marketing plan or developing a departmental budget or designing a new corporate website, that means these tactical managers, they are involved in semi-structured decision making. Senior managers, the top managers in the organization, they take unstructured decisions. That means if they are involved in deciding entry or exit from a market, they are involved in unstructured decision. If to approve a capital budget or not, that's also an unstructured decision that they are trying to make. Senior managers, while deciding long-term goals, the future of the organization, formulating policies or strategic planning, are involved in unstructured decision. So senior managers, middle managers, and operational managers and employees have different types of decisions and information requirements. And information systems cater to these different types of decisions, and they provide the right kind of information required to operate or to tactics for making tactics or for making strategy. Decision making, as I told you in the beginning, is a process. It's a series of steps or phases that you need to go through as a manager. The 4 stages of the decision making process was devised by Herbert Simon, an economist, who said that decision making is not a single step process. It is a series of steps that you have to go through. What are those phases? Intelligence is the first phase, design is the second phase, choice is the third phase, where a decision is made. And once that decision is implemented, a problem is solved. So, Herbert Simon's IDC model is considered to be the model for decision making. Intelligence is the phase where managers try to discover, identify, and understand the problems occurring in the organization. Then they use mathematical or statistical or functional models in order to identify and explore solutions for the problem. Then they develop solution alternatives and they make a choice of the best alternative to be used, and they implement the best alternative. And when the alternative is implemented, that means the chosen alternative works and continues to monitor and 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 it works well. Then the manager is in a good position to say that he has arrived at a solution and can monitor how well the solution should work for him. So this shows the stages in the decision-making process. First is intelligence, that means problem discovery. What is the problem? We try to find out, figure out. And then comes the second phase, the design of alternatives. This is the solution discovery phase. What are the possible solutions? We decide. And then after designing the solution, we make a choice of the best solution. And that best solution is implemented, and at the solution testing, we try to see if the solution is really working, or can we make it better to solve the problems in a better way. So this shows that decision making is a sequential process, but the beauty is that it has the flexibility to go back to the previous phase, rework, and then come to the next phase. So it is a flexible, sequential series of phases that you need to go through while making a good decision. So information systems can only assist in some of the roles played by managers. Classical model of management, if you take a look, planning, organizing, coordinating, deciding, and controlling are the five functions that the classical model of management devises. But today, more contemporary behavioral models have come up wherein the actual behavior of managers appears to be less systematic, more informal, less reflective, more reactive, and less well organized than in that classical model. Managers, they are involved in carrying out various managerial roles. Basically, the managerial roles can be categorized into three types, like the interpersonal roles, the informational roles, and the decisional roles. But most of the time, managers are entrepreneurs, disturbance handlers, resource allocators, and negotiators. So, apart from getting involved in planning, organizing, coordinating, deciding, and controlling, most of the time, managers are involved in decision making. That's why they look forward to a support system to improve that decision making capability, so that they can play the role of an entrepreneur or a disturbance handler or a resource allocator or as a negotiator. Three main reasons why organizations invest in information technology. But just investing in information technology does not always produce positive results. These are the three important points that we need to keep in mind. The quality of the information is very, very important for taking a proper decision. High quality decisions require high quality information. Second is, the second important point to note is that managers have selective attention and have variety of biases. that reject information that does not conform to prior conceptions. That can be a hurdle in the decision-making process. Managers are need to be careful while making business decisions by keeping in mind that quality data, quality information is important at the end to come up with a proper solution. As managers or decision makers or as problem solvers, we need to also keep in mind the last important point, which is the organizational inertia and politics. Managers should be aware of the strong forces that are working within organizations and that resist making decisions calling for a major change. So we need to invest in information technology to produce positive results. High velocity automated decision making is made possible through computer algorithms, precisely defining steps for highly structured decisions. So, as I told you in one of my previous sessions, that at the operational level, high use of IT is done because the customers come face to face with the organization's operations, and that is where we have to implement an algorithm which can handle the data in a sequential fashion to give an answer to a structured decision. Like I told you, the example of a ticket counter, a reservation counter. In a high velocity automated decision making scenario, humans are taken out of the decision making process. High velocity automated decision making requires safeguards to ensure proper operation and regulation. They require safeguards to be installed so that they can generate the right kind of results to be utilized by the managers at that particular level. It is not just the data or the information that is generated out of the information system, but a collection of information technology help managers in building up the intelligence, the business intelligence for the organization. If you are involved in data reporting, data management, and intelligence generation, then it is said that you are using business intelligence. It's an umbrella term for a number of technologies that work together. It provides an infrastructure. Business intelligence provides an infrastructure for collecting, storing, analyzing data produced by your business. So, in order to store the data, we would wish to install databases with the required database management systems in place. If the amount of data grows in a very high degree, then you need to install data warehouses or intelligent databases with intelligence and having the facility of extracting, loading and transforming the data. Apart from the databases and data warehouses, organizations also install smaller functional specific databases called as data marts. So databases, data warehouses and data marts can store the processed information and generate the intelligence for the managers to be utilized in their decision-making role. It's not just the data or the process data that is information or the knowledge through the knowledge management system that is utilized by managers. Today, managers look forward to making decisions from unstructured data. So they what they do is they just don't handle small data, rather they handle big data, wherein they use intelligent agents and data mining tools to query drill down into the huge amounts of data to generate insights and use that insight in their decision making. It's a continuous iterative process that is used, and that particular process is called as analytics. So generation of insights to be utilized for informed decision making is analytics. So business managers use tools and techniques, advanced tools and techniques for analyzing data, such as statistics, models, data mining, and last but not the least, online analytical processing techniques. So the decision-making process can be put into all these phases or steps: problem identification, data collection, solution generation, solution test, solution selection, and solution implementation. Problem identification is the problem identification, and data collection is the intelligence phase. Solution generation, solution test, and solution selection. Solution generation and solution test. These are the design things. Test and selection are the choice phase, and then you have the implementation phase. This is what we discussed. So the decision-making process goes through all these steps. First, the managers define the problem as clearly and precisely as possible. Now, why is the customer unhappy with the purchase, and why does he want to return it after the 30-day return policy expires? That may be a problem for managers to look into, wherein they depend on information systems to precisely identify the problem. Decision making, the second phase is data collection. For the identified problem, we gather problem related data, including who, what, where, when, why, and how. We should be sure to gather facts, not rumors or opinions about the problem. So we gather details on problem with product and the customer. Then we sit down to design the solution. The solution is generated. Detailed steps are looked into. The details of every solution possible is looked into, including ideas that seem far-fetched. Example can be allow the return, do not allow the return, or offer to switch the product for a new one. Then the solution is tested. That means we evaluate solution in terms of feasibility. Can it be completed? In terms of sustainability, is it a permanent or a temporary fix? And because of the acceptability. That means, can all participants form a consensus or not? So solution selection is the next phase. Once the solution is generated and tested, then we select the best solution. Selecting the solution that best solves the problem and meets the needs of the business. After the solution is selected, it is implemented. If the solution solves the problem, then the decision made were correct. If not, then the decision were incorrect, and the process begins again with the problem identification phase. This particular slide shows the decision making and problem solving that occur at each level in an organization's hierarchy. If you take a look at the bottom level, managers are involved in structured decision making. Employees develop, control, and maintain core business activities required to run the day-to-day operations. So they look for the right kind of support from the transaction processing systems or the office automation systems in order to be able to take structured decisions or programmable decisions. The next level of managers, the tactical managers, they utilize the reports generated out of the operational level to make semi-structured decisions. They process the data that comes up from the TPS and generate solutions for the decision making at this level. Employees are continuously evaluating company operations to hone the firm's abilities to identify, adapt to, and leverage change. And at the top level, the managers who are involved in unstructured decisions try to develop the overall business strategies, goals, and objectives as part of the company's strategic plan. So they make good use of an information system which can support their unstructured decision making. We have discussed these three types of decisions, but you should know that structured decisions are taken where situations where established processes offer potential solutions. Semi-structured decisions are taken by tactical managers, and they occur in situations in which a few established processes help to evaluate potential solutions, but not enough to lead to a definite recommended decision. Senior managers or the top managers who develop overall strategies, goals, and objectives, they take unstructured decisions or they make unstructured decisions. And these kind of decisions can occur in situations in which no procedures or rules exist to guide decision makers towards the correct choice. So managers handle projects, which is a temporary activity. A managed project can be a temporary activity which a company undertakes to create a unique product, service, or result. And information systems are used to complete the project in time within budget. Metrics are also used to arrive at the solution in the right time within the right budget. Managers strictly follow the metrics or the measurements to evaluate results to determine whether the project is meeting its goals or not. Managers also need to keep track of the critical success factors, the crucial steps companies make to perform to achieve their goals and objectives and implement strategies. So decision makers, they have to keep in mind the various metrics and the various critical success factors which can help the company to perform and to achieve their goals and objectives and implement the right strategies. Critical success factors of an organization are utilized to create high quality products, retain competitive advantages, reduce product costs, increase customer satisfaction, and hire and retain the best professionals. So take a look at the key performance indicators of the metrics and the critical success factors. The critical success factors are nothing but the crucial steps companies perform to achieve their goals and objectives and implement their strategies. The CSFs help to create high quality products, retain competitive advantage, reduce product costs, increase customer satisfaction, hire and retain the best business professional. But the key performance indicators help managers to take a look into the turnover rates of employees, percentage of help desk calls that can be answered in the first minute, number of product returns, number of new customers, average customer spending. So critical success factors and key performance indicators are kept in mind while a decision-making process is on. The key performance indicators are the quantifiable metrics a company uses to evaluate progress towards the critical success factors. Some of the key performance indicators that we have discussed are the turnover rates of employees, number of product returns, number of new customers, average customer spending. You can have two types of key performance indicators which needs to be tracked. One is the market share, the other one is the return on investment. So efficiency and effectiveness of the metrics are measured continuously. Efficiency of MIS metrics is the measure we try to measure the managers measure the performance of MIS itself, such as throughput of the system, transaction speed of the system, and systems availability. The effectiveness of MIS metrics is also kept track of, wherein managers measures the impact of MIS that it has on business processes and activities, including customer satisfaction and customer conversation rates. So this particular slide shows you the ideal operation that occurs in the upper right corner of the quadrant. Benchmark and benchmarking are two activities that are carried out by managers during their decision-making approach. They try to benchmark, that is, the baseline values the system that it should seek to attain is kept track of by the managers during the decision-making process. He is involved in benchmarking, which is a process of continuously measuring system results, comparing those results to optimal system performance or benchmark values, and identifying steps and procedures to improve system performance. So managers very often use the various information systems to make business decisions, but mostly business managers use MIS to make business decisions. They make good use of a model, which is an abstraction of reality, because models help managers to calculate risks, understand uncertainty, change the variables, and manipulate time to make decisions. So models play a very important role, and development of these models are nothing but the alternatives that we designed to move from a problem towards a solution. So this particular slide shows you the primary types of managerial information systems for decision making. At the structure level, for structured decision making and for operational activities, you have the TPS in place. For the semi-structured decision making or for the managerial decision making at the mid-level, MIS and DSS is available. For unstructured decision making by managers or for strategic planning and control, managers use executive information systems. So transaction processing systems are the information systems which serve the operational level managers. They are nothing but the basic business systems that serves the operational level and assist in making structured decisions. These are the systems which make good use of online transaction processing to capture the transactions and events. The information that is generated out of the conduct of an event or a transaction, using information technology to process, store, and update. The original transaction record can be the source document for a TPS. This particular slide shows that how systems thinking is utilized for the running of a transaction processing system. You can see that inputs come from source documents, which is inputted into the process function, where it is classified, calculated, sorted, and summarized, and then various kinds of reports can be generated. And the feedback and the control mechanism are incorporated into the process phase of the series of steps that source the data from the source document has to go through to be meaningful and used in a meaningful context by managers. The managerial support system, which are built on the foundations of TPS, they don't just use OLTP, they use another very important component which is called as a OLAP for manipulation of information to create business intelligence in support of strategy strategic decision making. It's not just the OLAP. For the mid-level managers, DSS are designed which utilize the model's information to support managers and business professionals during the decision-making process. Basically, 4 quantitative models are used by DSS, which has a database and a model base, which has a database management system and a model-based management system. What you can do as a manager by utilizing a decision support system, you can do what if analysis, you can do sensitivity analysis, you can do goal seeking analysis, you can do optimization analysis. So this shows the design of a DSS, which takes the output of a TPS to carry out what if, sensitivity, goal seeking, optimization. These are the various processes that can be carried out to generate forecasts, simulations, and ad hoc reports. So this shows a schematic diagram of the DSS, which generates the answers to ad hoc queries and managerial reports. So basically, the TPS gets the data, processes it, and stores it for utilization by MIS and DSS. The information granularity of information at the bottom level, fine granuled information are required for decision making. But the information granularity at the top is coarse. The processing at the bottom level is basically OLTP, online transaction processing, but at the top level, it's online analytical processing, where intelligence is incorporated into the system. At the bottom level, the processes are transactional, but at the top level, they are analytical. So we are looking forward to information systems which can support our managers in these 3 levels. And this is what this particular slide shows, the various information levels throughout an organization. The outcomes of the results can be visualized through charts and graphs. This particular slide shows how managers make decisions using graphs and charts. So managers at the top level utilize the idea of making decisions on the basis of graphs and charts generated, which are linked to the process data or the data that has been initially been collected by the managers and stored in the servers. Executive information system is the information system that is utilized by senior managers. It is nothing but a specialized DSS that supports senior level executives within the organization. This shows how a EIS is linked to a TPS and how executive reports are generated. Most of the executive information systems, they offer many capabilities, like they help us managers to consolidate the data, to drill down into the data, to slice and dice the data, and to use the power of pivoting to generate customized and ad hoc reports. Artificial intelligence and intelligent agents today are installed within information systems because the artificial system intelligence, they make a decision for the manager instead of the traditional tools. Artificial intelligence helps simulate the human intelligence to reason and to learn. That's why it is used by managers to generate insights and utilize those insights using intelligent agents. Today, this has become popular. Machine learning has become popular over humans learning or and then taking decisions. But today, computers can also take a decision for the managers. Machine learning are a set of algorithms that enables computers to both understand concepts in the environment and also to learn. So you can have two types of artificial intelligence: weak artificial intelligence, strong artificial intelligence. Apart from artificial intelligence, expert systems are also utilized in order to generate a decision for managers using machines or using computers. Neural network is another concept that is widely used by managers in order to facilitate their decision-making activities and to generate intelligent insights for informed decision-making. Fuzzy logic and deep learning are the other latest science that is used in order to generate quality decisions. Genetic algorithm is also another intelligent system that mimics the evolutionary survival of the fittest process to generate increasingly better solutions to a problem. So we should note down that operational and mid-level managers use MIS that runs on the data that has come up from transaction processing system for routine production of reports and for exception reports. But experts and business analysts, they utilize decision support systems for more sophisticated analysis and customized reporting. The managers at the mid-level and the top level, as they are involved in semi-structured and unstructured decision making, they look forward to better analysis and custom-made reports that are generated out of decision support systems. So decision support systems utilize mathematical, statistical, or analytical models. They can allow varied types of analysis, as we have discussed. What if analysis is one of them. Sensitivity analysis or scenario generation is another. Goal seeking is another analysis that can be carried out using a DSS. Backward sensitivity analysis can be done, and multidimensional analysis through OLAP, that is pivot tables, can help managers to generate customized reports and to make better decisions. So this shows, this table displays the results of a sensitivity analysis of the impact or the effect of changing the sales price of a necktie and the cost per unit on the product's break-even point. It answers the questions: what happens to the break-even point if the sales price and the cost to make each unit increase or decrease? So this shows how we can work with pivot tables in Microsoft Excel to benefit out of it. So basically, ESS are nothing but decision support for the senior management. It helps executives focus on important performance information, on the balanced scorecard method to measure outcomes in 4 dimensions, like the financial dimension, the business process dimension, the customer dimension, the learning and growth dimension. So a executive support system can utilize the balanced scorecard method to measure outcomes on 4 dimensions. And these are some of the most important dimensions that managers keep track of. Apart from the balanced scorecard method, managers also keep track of the key performance indicators to measure each of the dimensions. So this is a particular slide in which we see that in the balanced scorecard framework, the firm's strategic objectives are operationalized along the 4 dimensions of finance, business process, customer, and learning and growth. And each dimension is measured using several KPIs, and the KPIs are shown for you. Decision support for senior management is carried out using executive support system, which utilize internal data from not just from TPS, but data that has come from enterprise applications, external data such as financial market database. ESS have the best capability to drill down into mounds of data to generate solutions. It is not just the standalone decision-making support that information systems provide. Information systems also provide support for group decision-making through the group decision support systems. GDSs are nothing but interactive systems to facilitate solution of unstructured problems by groups. They utilize specialized hardware and software like Lotus Notes, Lotus Domino. They are typically used in conference rooms, overhead projectors, display screens, softwares to collect, rank, edit participant ideas and responses, and it may require facilitators and staff. GDSS enables increasing meeting size and increasing productivity. It promotes collaborative atmosphere and anonymity. GDSS also uses structured methods to organize and evaluate ideas. So with this, we have come to the end of the first discussion, and quickly let us take a look at how information systems can be kept secure. So how to secure information systems? We'll see how you will try to explain why information systems are vulnerable to destruction, error, and abuse. And we will describe the business value of security and control. We will describe the components of an organizational framework for security and control, and describe the tools and technologies used for safeguarding information resources. Security is nothing but policies, procedures, and technical measures used to prevent unauthorized access to the all-important information system. Any alteration, theft, or physical damage that can happen to information systems. So security is an important aspect of information systems. Information systems managers should install the security aspects and address the security issues in order to utilize the information systems well and to benefit out of it. They also need to put in controls in the right manner. Controls are nothing but methods and policies and organizational procedures that ensure safety of organization's assets, accuracy and reliability of its accounting records, and operational adherence to management standards can happen if the control mechanism is working properly. Systems are vulnerable because of accessibility of networks, hardware problems, software problems like programming errors, installation errors, unauthorized changes. Because of disasters, systems can become vulnerable. Because of heavy use of networks, computers outside of a firm's control, then also systems are vulnerable for attacks. Systems are vulnerable to loss and theft of portable devices. So this shows the contemporary security challenges and vulnerabilities. The architecture shown here is the architecture of a web-based application, typically which includes web client, a server, and corporate information systems linked to databases. Each of these components presents a security challenge and vulnerabilities like floods, fires, power failures, and other related problems can cause disruptions at any point in the network, which needs to be managed. System vulnerability and abuse can happen because of internet vulnerabilities. It can happen because of wireless security challenges. It can happen because of malicious softwares like viruses, worms and viruses spread by downloads, emails. Smartphones are as vulnerable as computers. Trojan horses are softwares that appears benign but does something other than expected, which can hamper the activity of information system. You can have SQL injection attacks or ransomware. You can also have malwares like spy, like these small programs installed, which get installed themselves. You can also have what is called as the spywares, apart from the malware, which needs to be addressed. System vulnerability and abuse happens because of hackers and computer crime. Many activities such as system intrusion, system damage, cyber vandalism are common hurdles that you will face as an information systems manager in order to run the so-called as the information system function. Spoofing and sniffing, like eavesdropping programs that monitor information traveling over network, can hamper your work on computer-based information systems. Denial of service attacks can happen, wherein your server can get flooded with thousands of false requests to crash the network. Distributed denial of service attacks can happen to your servers. And computer crime today is a hot topic of discussion, and that is the reason why we look forward to securing our information systems. Computer crime is defined as any violation of criminal law that involves a knowledge of computer technology for their preparation, investigation, or prosecution. Computer may be a target of crime, like breaching of confidentiality of protected computerized data. Accessing a computer system without authority can also be termed as a crime. Computer may be instrument of crime, for example, theft of trade secrets, using email for threats or harassment. System vulnerability and abuse can happen because of identity theft, phishing, and evil drains. It can happen because of farming, click frauds, cyber terrorism, and cyber warfare, which is the rising trend. So information systems can also have internal threats, like threats from employees. Security threats often originate inside an organization. Sloppy security procedures when followed. Users' lack of knowledge can also be a hindrance. Social engineering can also be an internal threat. Software vulnerability can also hamper the working of the computer-based information systems. Small pieces of software to repair flaws, patches are used, and those patches can also be vulnerable. Firms today are more vulnerable than ever before. Confidential personal and financial data gets leaked. Trade secrets, new products, strategies can also get leaked. A security breach may cut into a firm's market value almost immediately. Inadequate security and control also brings forth issues of liability. As a manager, we need to be aware of legal and regulatory requirements for electronic records management and privacy protection. Information systems controls can be the manual system controls or the automated controls. They may be general controls or application controls. General controls, they govern design, security, and use of computer programs and security of data files in general throughout the organization's information technology infrastructure. Types of general controls. Whenever we have these set of components of information systems, we can have control mechanisms installed to the software, to the hardware, the computer operations, to the data, the implementation controls, and the administrative controls. These controls are put in place to keep the to keep the information systems secure. We, as managers, we need to do a risk assessment of our information systems regularly. We need to determine the level of risk to firm if a specific activity or process is not properly controlled, like the types of threat, probability of occurrence during year. We need to know the potential losses and the value of the threat, expected annual loss as a result of the system being attacked. Every organization needs to have an information security policy in place. Business processes and tools are required to identify valid users of a system and control access, and they should be given the right privileges or the right kind of privileges to handle the information systems or to work with the information systems. So identity management systems capture access rules for different levels of the users. This shows two examples which represent two security profiles or security data security patterns that might be found in a personal system, a HR system. Depending on the security profile, a user would have certain restrictions on access to various systems, locations, or data in an organization. It is not just the security or the control that needs to be installed within information systems. Managers should also have a disaster recovery plan ready with them, so that in the case of a crash of the systems, they can put into act the disaster recovery plan for restoration of the disrupted services. Regularly, information systems need an audit wherein managers the auditors examine firms' overall security environment as well as controls governing individual information systems. They review technologies, procedures, documentation, training, and personnel. They may even simulate disaster to test response of technology, IS staff, and other employees. They list and rank all control weaknesses and estimate probabilities of their occurrence, and they assess financial and organizational impact of each threat. Authentication is one important activity that the managers who handle the information systems are involved in. Authentication is done through password systems, tokens, smart cards, biometric authentication, and two-factor authentication for information systems to be kept secure and under control. Firewall is inbuilt into the network in order to protect the network from harm. This shows a corporate firewall that is put in place to keep the network secure. Managers also install intrusion detection systems for finding out intruders into the information system. They put in place antivirus and anti-spyware software, and also create a unified threat management system to keep their information systems secure and up and running. So with this, we come to the end of this session. We'll take up other topics of information systems in the next session. Thank you.